Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world, with me, Deepika, coming up in the next half an hour. Nepal's vote count puts rapper turned politician Balendra Shah's party ahead in the race. Shah's RSP party on track to win majority in 275-membered House of Representatives. New wave of strikes hits Iran as huge explosions rock major Tehran airport. Tehran continues attacks on Gulf states a week into the war. Iran president apologizes to neighboring countries for attacks, also says country will not surrender to Israel, US. President Donald Trump says Iran's army, navy and communications are gone. Adds two sets of their leaders are gone. They are down to their third set. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says India is the net security provider of the Indian Ocean region. Good evening to all the viewers joining us at this evening broadcast. To begin with the latest. Well, in a latest update from West Asia, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has apologized to neighboring countries for attacks launched during the Islamic Republic's war with Israel and the United States. In a speech broadcast by state TV, Pezeshkian said that Tehran will not target neighboring countries unless attacked from there. He also said that his country will not surrender to Israel and the United States as the war entered its second week. And in its latest attacks, Iran's Revolutionary Guards said they had targeted an oil tanker in the Gulf in their conflict with Israel and US. Guards said in a statement that the trade named Prima was hit by an exploding drone after ignoring a repeated warning from IRGC Naval Force regarding the prohibition of traffic and the insecurity of the Strait of Hormuz. The guards earlier said they were waiting for US forces to escort ships throughout the strait. Iran's army also said that its navy had launched a wave of drone attacks targeting Israel as well as US bases in the UAE and Kuwait. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have also targeted 3 locations of separatist groups in Iraq's Kurdistan region, saying if separatist groups in the region of Kurdistan make any move against Iran's territorial integrity, they will be crushed. On the other hand, Israel has launched a new wave of broad-scale strikes on Tehran. Its military said more than 80 fighter jets completed a wave of broad-scale strikes on Iranian military sites, missile launchers and other targets in Tehran and central Iran. Israel's military said jets hit an academy of Iran's Revolutionary Guards, which was being used as an emergency asset. The Israel Defense Forces detected another round of Iranian missile fire headed towards Israel after a series of explosions were heard in the Israeli commercial hub of Tel Aviv following the Iranian launches. Israel said that Iran had launched cluster bombs multiple times since the start of the conflict. Israel has been hitting southern Lebanon in its battle against Iran-backed Hezbollah militia. Israeli Defense Forces completed an additional wave of strikes against terror targets in Dahiyeh district in Beirut. IDF said Iran's threat extends far beyond its borders, and together with the United States, we are dismantling this terror network.
In recent days, Hezbollah has expanded their attacks against Israel. As a result, IDF soldiers have been injured in the northern border. If our soldiers weren't there, this fire, and even worse, would have been directed at our civilians in the north. Their actions, Hezbollah's actions, prove what we've said time and time again. Hezbollah is still a dangerous force present in southern Lebanon. Iran built a regional network of terror, spreading to Lebanon to threaten Israel and destabilize the Middle East. Together with our allies, we are dismantling that network.
The US released video showing what it said are strikes on targets in Iran. The video showed numerous strikes on buildings and a vehicle. US Central Command said that its forces have struck over 3,000 targets in the first week of Operation Epic Fury. The foreign ministers of the Arab League will hold an emergency meeting on Sunday to discuss Iranian attacks on several of the group members. The meeting, which will be held via video conferencing, was requested by Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, Jordan and Egypt. Arab League Secretary General Ahmad Abul-Gheit had earlier condemned the Iranian attacks, saying they are fully reprehensible and not only a blatant violation of international law and the UN Charter, but also it is an assault on the principles of good neighborliness. He added that the attacks create an unprecedented state of hostility between Iran and its Arab neighbors. Emirates said it was suspending all the flights to and from Dubai until further notice after an explosion was heard over the Dubai airport. The Flight Radar 24 tracking website showed planes circulating above the airport in an apparent holding pattern, while limited flights resumed from Dubai's main airport. Saudi Arabia's defense ministry said it intercepted a ballistic missile fired at an airbase which houses US military personnel as Iran pressed attacks across the Gulf. The oil-rich nation state news agency said it thwarted a drone attack on an oil field near Emirati border, following at least 2 reported drone attacks earlier this week that targeted the Ras Tanura refinery in the east. US President Donald Trump said Iran's army, navy, communications and their leaders are gone.
Iran were doing very well. Somebody said, how would you score it from 0 to 10? I said, I'd give it a 12 to a 15. Their army is gone. They're just about, look, their navy is gone. Their communications are gone. Their leaders are gone. And we had a choice. We could take it and go on like that for years or do something about it. And we did something about it. And people are very impressed with our military and they admire our military.
On diplomatic front, Russian President Vladimir Putin held a telephonic conversation with his Iranian counterpart Masoud Pezeshkian on Friday and conveyed his condolences on the killings of Ayatollah Khamenei. He reaffirmed Russia's stance of immediate cessation of hostilities and said that he was in constant contact with the leaders of the Gulf Cooperation Council member states. As per the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Masoud Pezeshkian expressed gratitude for Russia's solidarity with the Iranian people. The Foreign Ministry noted that it was agreed that contact will be maintained with the Iranian side via various channels. Members of the US military offloaded equipment from a US Air Force C-5 Galaxy at RAF Fairford in southwest England as the war in the Middle East intensifies. Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer agreed to a US request to use 2 British Army bases for a specific and limited defensive purpose, following initially refusing any role in the US-Israeli war with Iran. Saudi Arabia, the world's top oil exporter, reported at least 2 drone attacks earlier this week that targeted the Ras Tanura refinery in the east. The Defense Ministry earlier posted on X that a ballistic missile launched towards Prince Sultan Air Base, southeast of the capital of Riyadh, was intercepted and destroyed. The official Saudi press agency later reported another missile attack at the same base, saying it was also intercepted, quoting a Defense Ministry spokesperson. The news agency also reported a series of drone attacks targeting the Shah oil field near the Emirati border. The drones were intercepted and destroyed. Earlier, authorities in Dubai had confirmed that there has been a minor incident resulting from the fall of debris after an interception. In a statement, the Dubai media office said the incident has been successfully contained with no injuries reported. An explosion was also heard in Bahrain's capital, Manama, on Saturday, where a warning siren sounded. Bahrain's Interior Ministry posted on X, urging the citizens and residents to remain calm and head to the nearest safest place. UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan on Friday visited individuals injured during recent Iranian strikes on the Gulf. He met and spoke with patients receiving care at Abu Dhabi's Sheikh Shakhbout Medical City. The visit comes amid heightened tensions in the region following recent strikes attributed to Iran, which left several people injured and prompted increased security measures across the United Arab Emirates. Moving on, Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, said diplomatic relations with the United States have been re-established after both the countries agreed to resume ties that were severed in 2019.
Nos tocó decirlo frente a nuestros.
We have re-established diplomatic and consular relations with the government of the United States. We had to say it in front of our heroes, men and women who fell in combat on January 3. When we went to pay tribute to them. And we told the United States, let's face each other directly to resolve our historic differences. We are going to resolve them through diplomacy.
Precepto de respeto.
On to Nepal elections now. Nepal's rapper turned politician Balendra Shah held an unassailable lead against ousted Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli on Saturday in the highly contested face-off in southeastern district of Chapa, according to data from the Election Commission of Nepal. If the trends are confirmed by the vote count, 35 years old, Shah's victory over the veteran Marxist leader and his rise from city mayor to potential prime minister would mark one of the most dramatic results in recent Nepali politics. The high-stakes election on Thursday came 6 months after deadly protests toppled the government, with at least 77 people being killed. By Saturday morning, on the second day of counting, there were only 48 declared results. RSP took 39, Nepali Congress won 5, and Marxist Party of ousted Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli was trailing with 2. Former Maoist Kurela commander Pushpa Kamal Dehel has 1 seat for his party, but trends showed that Shah's RSP was also leading in 90 of the remaining 117 constituencies in direct elections. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. Pakistan raises consumer prices for diesel and petrol. President Draupadi Murmu attends 9th International Santal Conference in Darjeeling, West Bengal. And Finland President Alexander Stubb meets Chief Minister of Maharashtra in Mumbai.
Nature is sounding the alarm, and when our ecosystems are under pressure, our lives are impacted. In today's episode, we take a look at how these two are coming together to help us adapt and respond to a changing world.
When you conduct agriculture with Kadai cattle, you don't need to provide any extra materials or any other natural inputs to that field.
The AI does not see animals in the pictures, which then have to be found by humans. But also there are certain species, especially rare species, where we don't have a lot of pictures to train the AI, that the AI then cannot classify in turn.
Thanks to Santosh's information and awareness classes, that myth has disappeared. Now if we encounter a dangerous snake like a cobra, we immediately call Santosh to perform a rescue.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching Daily India Live. Well, addressing the foundation stone-laying ceremony for the Kota airport, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that air connectivity will boost tourism and local economy.
कोटा का एयरपोर्ट केवल एक सपना बनकर नहीं रहेगा, बल्कि उसे साकार करके दिखाया जाएगा। आज मुझे प्रसन्नता है कि वो क्षण आ गया है जब कोटा एयरपोर्ट के निर्माण का काम शुरू होने जा रहा है। अब तक कोटा के लोगों को जयपुर या जोधपुर जाकर फ्लाइट पकड़नी पड़ती थी। इसमें काफी समय भी लगता था और असुविधा भी होती थी। अब यह स्थिति बदलने जा रही है। जब यह एयरपोर्ट शुरू होगा तो कोटा समेत आसपास के पूरे इलाका में यात्रा भी आसान होगी और व्यापार भी तेजी से बढ़ेगा।
The final day of the Raisina Dialogue is underway. Focus is on the future global order and economic resilience, with discussions on maritime security, supply chains, and strategic rivalries. Sessions examined maritime security challenges across the Indian Ocean and the Red Sea, including threats to undersea communication cables and the growing use of autonomous maritime systems. This year's Raisina Dialogue is themed Samskara, Assertion, Accommodation and Advancement, reflecting the idea of civilizations asserting identity, accommodating differences and advancing through refinement. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar participated in Raisina Dialogue on Saturday alongside Foreign Ministers Barry Faw of Seychelles, Dhananjay Ritesh Ramphul of Mauritius, Vijita Herath of Sri Lanka and former Foreign Minister Maurice Payne of Australia at the session called Heart of the Seas, Future of the Indian Ocean. Speaking at the event, Dr. S. Jaishankar said India plays a key role in the Indian Ocean, fostering cooperation through the Indian Ocean Rim Association and other initiatives, while former Foreign Minister of Australia stressed that countries must adapt frameworks to meet emerging regional challenges.
India has a particular salience when it comes to the Indian Ocean, and therefore a particular responsibility and a particular contribution. The fact that the Fusion Center in Gurugram has so many people, so many countries, so many representatives all here at this time willing to work together, willing to share, willing to create an integrated picture, says something about the Indian Ocean, but it says something about us. Furthermore, these institutions we are building, and there's not a single one, there's IORA, as I said, there's Colombo Security Conclave, there's BIMSTEC. These are building blocks of what is a larger Indian Ocean, I would say, composite picture.
The option is to, in my view, constantly review those frameworks, those relationships, the partnerships, the alliances, to make sure that they are fit for purpose. Because if we don't, then we, in my view, condemn ourselves to potential failure, if not disaster, by not being ready and not being prepared. There is no alternative for those of us who want to be significant security partners in the region. India, Australia, my colleagues here, who all have different roles in capital S security and small s security in our region. Absolutely no choice but to be constantly vigilant and ensure that we are standing up for ourselves and supporting each other.
Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal participated in the 11th edition of Raisina Dialogue in New Delhi. He said no sensitive sector of India has been compromised in the trade deal. Goyal also assured that the agreement fully protects national interests and domestic industries.
For us, stakeholder response, stakeholder consultation and feedback is extremely important in every FTA that we do. The amount of consultation between line ministries and the Commerce Ministry, between line ministries and their respective stakeholders, Commerce separately talking to stakeholders, is an elaborate process. I can assure you, these 9 free trade agreements, I can say it on record, with all the courage that I have on my command, with all the responsibility. Not a single trade deal has India compromised on any sensitivity of any of our stakeholders. And in all of the trade deals, we have protected national interests. We have opened the doors to greater engagement. We have kept in mind sensitivities as well as a realistic approach.
President Draupadi Murmu attended the 9th International Santal Conference organized by International Santal Council in Darjeeling, West Bengal. The council works for the preservation of the culture, language and welfare of the tribe and indigenous community spread across India and Bangladesh. The annual conference begins together, bringing community leaders and scholars to discuss heritage, education and economic opportunities for the Santal community. Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, met Alexander Stubb, President of Finland, in Mumbai on Friday. The two sides discussed strengthening cooperation on high technology collaboration and expanding economic ties. Fadnavis stated that Maharashtra is well placed to drive the national implementation of India-EU Free Trade Agreement and acts as a bridge for European innovation. He also mentioned that combining Finland's technological expertise with Maharashtra's dynamic industrial ecosystem could open new opportunities for growth. Finland President Alexander Stubb also addressed students at University of Mumbai. He urged the students at university to be curious for the rest of their lives, encouraging them to cultivate logical and analytical thinking rather than rely on rote learning. He also praised India's pragmatic diplomacy and said countries of the global south could play a decisive role in shaping the future world order. Moving on, Pakistan has raised consumer prices for diesel and petrol by 20%. In a televised video message, Petroleum Minister Ali Parvez Malik announced a historically large 55 rupee increase to 321.17 rupees for diesel and 335.86 for petrol. The decision is likely to ripple through to higher inflation and hit Pakistan's impoverished population. Now, $1 is equivalent to 278.5 Pakistani rupees. Before the announcement, fuel stations in major cities like Lahore and Karachi had long lines of people waiting to fill up. On the ground, signs of strains are already visible. For ordinary Pakistanis, the hike delivers another blow to stretched budgets. Pakistan imports oil mainly from Saudi Arabia and UAE through Strait of Hormuz. And now let's get you all the latest action from the world of sports. To begin with badminton, Lakshya Sen has stormed into the men's singles semi-finals of the prestigious All England Open Championship in Birmingham. Lakshya defeated China's Li Shifeng by 21-13, 21-16 in the quarterfinal last night. The world number 12 will face Canada's Victor Lai in the last four clash today. In tennis, second seed Yannick Sinner cruised to the second round of Indian Wells Open with a straight set victory over Dalipor's Raisina in his first match. The Italian, who received a first round bye, won 81% of the points on his first serve, 75% on his second serve, and saved the lone break point he faced. Sinner is participating in his second event since losing to Djokovic in the semi-finals of the Australian Open. He was ousted in the quarterfinal at Qatar Open 2 weeks ago. Elsewhere, Gael Monfils bid an emotional farewell to Indian Wells as the popular Frenchman fell to Felix Auger. One of the sport's great entertainers, Monfils said this season would be his last and soaked in the atmosphere in California desert as the packed crowd gave him a standing ovation after his second round exit. Known for his athleticism and flair, Monfils won 13 ATP Tour titles, latest of which came in Auckland last year, nearly 20 years after his first in Poland back in 2005. In other encounters, fourth seed Alexander Zverev began his Indian Wells Open campaign with a straight sets victory over Matteo Berrettini. Francis Tiafoe defeated fellow American Jensen Brooks-Pai and Canada's Denis Shapovalov as they beat Argentina's Thomas Martin Etcheverry to advance to the last 32. In women's category, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka launched her bid for an elusive first Indian Wells title with a dominant 6-4, 6-2 second round victory over Japanese qualifier Himeno Sakatsume. Sabalenka, playing her first tournament since a runner-up finish to Elena Rybakina at the Australian Open, showed no sign of rust as she overpowered Sakatsume, who was playing her first career match against a top 20 player. She had no real answer to Belarusian's power, and the lone break was enough for Sabalenka to seize the opening set. Sabalenka won 5 straight games, closing out the match without facing a break. American sprinter Fred Kerley has been suspended for missing 3 out of competition anti-doping tests with a 12-month period. The Athletic Integrity Unit said Kerley's missed tests qualify as whereabout failures under the World Doping Anti-Doping Code that requires athletes in registered testing pool to provide daily location details so they can be tested without a notice. Now, 3 missed tests or filing failures in a year can trigger a sanction of up to 2 years. Kerley won silver in 100-meter event at Tokyo Olympics and bronze in Paris last summer. He also captured the 100-meter world title in 2022. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.